Coming at you live. It is your boy Skillz. I'm back. I'm ready to talk sports. This is Skillz on Sports. Here, right on time, as promised, March 1st, 2024. Except for it's March 6th, 2024. My promise meant nothing. Oh well, better late than never. What it did was the delay in producing this show is giving us more time, more interesting topics to dive into. Of course, we get into the world of MLB, we get into the world of NFL, even in the off-season. And we also got NBA to talk about, plenty of that too, especially tonight. A lot of games, a lot of action going on tonight. Starting with my Golden State Warriors. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area for those of you new to the show or who just don't listen to me when I brag about my Bay Area upbringing and local teams. Yeah, we're here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have Warriors, and we usually lean on them and the 49ers and the Giants, and at one point the A's. More so than what we do on the Season Over Fire Everyone Sports Show with my two co-hosts who only slightly view baseball slightly better than, say, federal prison. But here we do talk more baseball. We will get into more national coverage because we tend to get kind of carried away when we get our local coverage on that show. But here on Skillz on Sports, we're going to, obviously talk about tonight's beautiful 125-90 win by the Warriors over the Milwaukee Bucks, who were in town tonight riding a pretty hot stretch of basketball. I believe this was their first loss since the All-Star game after struggling mightily under new coach Doc Rivers, who had taken over the first place Bucks, first place in the division anyway, about 3 weeks before the All-Star break, and ran them right into the ground pretty much. But they turned things around after the break. Were playing pretty well, coming into Oakland tonight, despite not having Giannis for a short period without his foot was bothering him. It was the foot or the ankle that was bothering him. He missed or was it the Achilles? I forgot. I'll have it in the notes. But Giannis was in the house tonight, not just to watch, not just to keep his brother company. He was there to ball. And ball he attempted to do. The problem is Golden State has a young man on their roster who also comes to ball every single night. He's allowed to, by the name of Trayce Jackson-Davis, who repeatedly in the second half swatted Giannis' shots back in his face, back in his mug, and then converted those loose balls into dunks at the other end. It was quite a show of offense for the Warriors, who scored 78 points in the first half of tonight's game. Scuffled a little bit coming out of the gate in the third quarter, but once Trayce got in the groove, took over things, and on both ends of the floor, he was very effective. This is going to be a player. Dale Davis' son. What do you expect from Dale Davis' son? Dale Davis was a very solid player, but even he was a force on the glass. He was a good defender and everything, but he was not the offensive player that his son is slowly and surely shaping up to be. He is making an impact for the Warriors, who have not had any kind of real offensive threat from the 4 or 5 spots consistently since the days of Andrew Bogut getting thrown lobs from Steph Curry and Jared Jack back in the day. So here's the thing. Tonight, that's good coffee. Yeah, I eat and drink on this show. Deal with it. Tonight, Golden State recovered from a horrible ass beating from Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, I should say, when Boston spanked them by 52 points and led by as many as 56. And the consensus agreement from the Warriors that day was that their bodies may not have been on the plane, but everything else about them, mentally, spiritually, preparedness-wise, stayed on the plane to Boston that afternoon. And a couple days off and a new week, a new day back home at Oracle Arena, at the Chase Center, and look at what happens. Took total control. 20-point lead in the first half was their biggest of any half this season, and or any first half, I should say. And this how good it was. In the second half of the game, Draymond Green hit his first 2-pointers back-to-back, first 2 fourth-quarter 3-pointers of the entire season. Now, of course, he's missed about half the season due to suspension and injury, but hey, let's not take away. Let's give him this, okay? He deserves props for playing well tonight. I've been very outspoken against this guy in the past. I'm not going to turn back on any of the words I've said against him in the past, and nor should you if that's how you feel. Monte Hill didn't, so I'm going to stick by my criticism of the guy. I'm still not sold on. Well, he also got a technical tonight. I was going to get to that, but I'll get to that right now. He got his first technical foul since the most recent suspension tonight. early in the game. So we knew it was going to come. I didn't expect him to be perfect in that department. I did not expect him to never get a technical foul ever again, or never get upset at a call ever again. I just don't want him to attack people anymore. And to his credit, which you shouldn't really get credit for not attacking people. You're not supposed to attack people. I mean, like, people walk by. This is what you do to people when they walk by or they pass by, or you're playing with them on the court. You do this. You wave to them, or give them the thumbs up, or maybe if they're in the military, you go, give them a salute. Or they don't really even have to be in the military to give them a salute. I salute people all the time when they do great things. And that's what you do to people when they're in your vicinity. What you don't do to people in your vicinity, unless they're attacking you first, you don't do this. Those are the things you don't do to people. Now, I want you to remind us, if you have the same mentality as early season Draymond, write down, rewind this video and just write down everything I just said. This is okay. Those are okay. This is not okay. That's what you don't do. Skillz. Giving it back to the people here tonight. Okay, other games around the league. I mentioned Boston's blowout of the Warriors from this past Sunday. It was a blowout. It was probably the worst I've ever seen Golden State play on both ends of the floor. But here's the funny thing. The Celtics tonight had a 22-point... I'm sorry, that was last night. Had a 22-point lead against the Cleveland Cavaliers entering the fourth quarter. And they were riding an 11-game win streak of their own. Right? So here's the funny thing. The same team that crushed the Golden State Warriors, who had all their players healthy except Andrew Wiggins, who, by the way, Andrew Wiggins did return tonight and played decently for the Warriors. With his personal issues, they canceled his favorite soap opera. His plant died. I'm not sure which one it was. But in any event, he's back, and back to the Celtics. After crushing the Warriors, they could not hold on to that 22-point lead against the Cleveland Cavaliers. In the fourth quarter, they blew that 22-point lead, and they did so to a Cleveland team that was playing without Donovan Mitchell from start to finish, and it also lost the big man Evan Mobley in the third quarter to an ankle sprain. And yet somehow the Cavaliers, thanks to a little help from a reverse call at the end of the game, were able to come back and squeak out a 105-104 win and snap that long Boston winning streak. So Cleveland Cavaliers, 5 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, from Dean Wade. And I know freaks time you have to look in the paper and see D Wade. It's not Dwayne, it's Dean, no relation. And Dean was popping from deep that night. Boston, we're coming for you. We're going to avenge that win. The Robert Parrish Classic will not be forgotten. Other games going on tonight. We had in the Doug Christie Classic, the Sacramento Kings beating the Lakers 130-120. In that game, LeBron James scored 31 points. Losing effort, De'Aaron Fox had 44 points of his own. And by the way, LeBron is now at 40,000. I wrote this down. 40,067 points. And which I bring that up because the man he passed to get in the first place on the all-time scoring list, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I just realized that there has not been an update on him since his fall at a concert a few weeks back. He was at some concert. I forget what it was, who it was, but somehow he fell, got hurt. He was taken to the hospital because he's in his 70s now, and I haven't heard a single word about his recovery. If he had died or been paralyzed, I'm sure that would have been out. So this is one of those cases where no news is good news, right? We're all pulling for Kareem, probably even Bill Simmons, who referred to him regularly as a ninny in his book. I'm pretty sure even Bill Simmons wishes Kareem speedy recovery. Other games tonight in the Rashard Lewis Classic, the Magic beat the Wizards 119-109. In the Craig Elo Classic, it was the Hawks outlasting the Cavaliers, the previously mentioned Cavaliers, 112-101. I cannot figure out a classic for this. I could have gone with the Allen Iverson Classic, but he only played 3 games with Memphis, I think. So I didn't go there. In the unsponsored Classic, we had the Sixers falling to Memphis 115-109, which not many teams have done this year, lose to the Memphis Grizzlies. In the Montrezl Harrell Classic, we had the LA Clippers with their future arena coming along very nicely, and I like the new look of the logo and the uniforms coming up here. 122, 116 over Houston. If you haven't seen those new logos and new uniforms, check them out. By the way, the Houston Rockets have fallen to 27 and 35 on the season. Remember, they started 13 and 9. And for you math challenge individuals, that is a 14 and 26 stretch of basketball in the 40 games since that fast start under new coach Ime Udoka, which I did not see coming. And they're young players for the most part have played well, but it's just not been a stretch winning basketball for the Rockets. And Fred VanVleet and company down there in Houston. In the Carlos Boozer Classic, the Bulls beat the Jazz. Also, this is a rematch of the 90s NBA Finals back-to-back, 97 and 98. Bulls pulled it out 119 to 117 in a game that, at the end, got a little testy. A little bit of high-running emotions between one of the Bulls' assistant coaches, somebody who you've never heard of, I'm pretty sure, Chris Fleming, got into it with John Collins of the Jazz, and Torrey Craig of the Bulls got involved also, and there was just unpleasantness. It might even, from what I'm hearing from radio reports, there was hands on a throat, and I don't want to sit here and give you wrong information. That's just what I heard on the radio. I don't have that confirmed, but if there were hands on the throat, that's bad. And that whoever's hands were on whoever's throat should probably get an extended, long period of time, because I don't think the hands are on the throat in an effort to dislodge a trapped food particle. Remember, this goes back to earlier. We can also include, this is also what you don't do to human beings. That is also on the no-no list. Instead of choking them out, maybe you hug them. See, I'm a big softy at heart. Your boy Skillz is big, but your boy Skillz is big teddy bear at heart. Okay, moving on. In the Sebastian Telfair Classic, we had the Oklahoma City Thunder 128, Portland 120. Remember, just a couple of years ago, the Thunder were 24 and 58. Then what they did was they were in the process of already doing it, accruing. I think they had as many as 37 draft. I'm not exaggerating. As many as 37 draft picks at one point, which they've since, many of those have been sent out to bring in good players or been used to draft good players. And the result is now Oklahoma City is 43 and 19, challenging hard for that first seed in the Western Conference. That's good coffee, man. Man, that's good coffee. And that's where we're at now. So let's find out what other NBA news is going on as I flip my notebook over. We talked about that. Oh yeah, the Cavaliers. I mentioned before, and this is just for you people who didn't, because I haven't done a sports show in a while, solo anyway, and I really haven't done a group show in a while, in about a week either. But for those of you who did not hear about this, the Cavaliers win over the Celtics was just one of two very improbable wins they've had so far this month, or in the last week, I should say anyway, because technically this was February. Max Struss, former Heat, now on Cleveland, beat the Dallas Mavericks with a 60-foot buzzer beater to end the fourth quarter last week. So I don't know which one is less probable, the 22-point deficit overcome or the 60-footer at the buzzer. But in any event, Cleveland rocks right now. Hashtag Drew Carey. You may or may not have heard that Russell Westbrook of the Clippers and Scotty Barnes of the Raptors both broke their hands last week in the middle of games, and both had surgery. And the broken hand may not seem like a serious injury. I mean, it's a broken bone in your hand, which you need your hands, and obviously it's important, but we're not talking like something that's going to keep you out for a year. But remember, Stephen Curry had a broken hand in 2019. Everyone's hands are different, all right? And there's different bones in the hand. There's the metatarsal, and there's the blah, blah, blah. And Steph Curry wound up missing pretty much the entire, what ended up being this COVID-shortened season of 2019 and 2020. I think he played like 5 games to start, missed like 60, came back, and then the season was cut short. And also Tyler Hero had a broken bone just last season for the Miami Heat. That I don't think, if I remember correctly, I think he was activated for the finals but never played as the Heat fell to the Denver Nuggets. If I remember correctly, I'll have that in the notes. And Chris Paul, of course, this season missed 6 weeks with a broken hand. So you can go from this much of a time off, it can be minimal, it can be extended. depending on how you heal, how bad you broke it, which bone you broke. So the moral of the story is speedy recovery to Russell. God dog it, how many times am I going to do that? Speedy recovery to Russell Westbrook, not Russell Westbrook, and Scotty Barnes of Toronto. Speedy recoveries to them both as they recover from broken bones in their hand. Another piece of injury news I want to get into. You may have even forgotten he even exists. Lonzo Ball, the guard of the Chicago Bulls. I'm not laughing at his misfortune. It's just ironic that he was given so much money, has been unable to give Chicago practically anything since the first 4 months of that contract he got way back in 2021, and it's not his fault. It's just his knee injury. He was shown dunking a few weeks back in a practice at a gym somewhere. It was like 2-foot plant dunk or something like that, and he looked like it was an encouraging sign, obviously, for a guy who's been out for over. He hasn't played since January of 2022, which is obviously well over 2 years ago. So this was any kind of encouragement you want to get, any kind of positive you can take from watching him move, and this is it right here. Ball was dunking. But this is from his coach, his head coach, Billy Donovan. And I'm going to assume that Billy Donovan is up to date on Bulls happenings and happenings with Bulls players. Did Billy Donovan ever even coach ball? I got to look back and see. I don't know if Donovan was even in charge by that time, but we'll see. It turns out that according to Coach Donovan, Lonzo Ball has run and he has jumped at his rehabilitation. He's run, he's jumped, and he's shot, but he still has not sprinted. And even the worst out of shape basketball player out there is not going to be able to get by just walking up and down the court. He's going to have to run, and he's going to have to run hard at some point, frequently, repeatedly. And if Lonzo still can't do that 2 years after his latest surgery, that's a troubling sign. I got no ill will towards Lonzo. A lot of people can't stand his daddy. A lot of people can't stand his Steven little brother. And LaMelo's somewhere probably in the middle. But Lonzo has always seemed like he's a stand-up guy. He's got a couple kids now, I think. He's a very good player. He's one who couldn't shoot for jack when he first got into the NBA. He gradually improved that shot. In addition to his passing ability and his dunking ability, his athletic ability, which you can only hope 2 years out. He's still young. I think he's only still somewhere around 27, 28 years old. So at least if nothing else, he's going to get paid. He's going to have money to support his family, take care of his family. So that's probably the most important thing of all, is that he signed his contract. And, the Bulls are screwed. Well, the Bulls will be okay. Michael Jordan made sure of that 25 years ago. The Bulls will be okay if they still have to pay Lonzo Ball and not get much in return. Okay? So, as with Westbrook, I'm just going to assume I said it right, and Barnes, we here at Skillz on Sports, which consists of me and this cup of coffee and this banana, we here at Skillz on Sports wish Lonzo Ball and the Ball family nothing but the best as they continue, the recovery journey from his spate of knee problems. And that's going to do for the NBA coverage. One more bit of NBA news. This is a little scary. Bismarck Biyombo, whose name I haven't said in a very long time. He is currently with the Thunder, and he played tonight. Late in their victory over the Trailblazers tonight, cameras caught what appeared to be Biyombo collapsing on the sideline, on the bench. And there's been no report from the team. There's been no report from the league. There's been nothing to confirm what may or may not have happened, but it sure looked like to me, and I saw a clip of this, looked like he just went down. No one ran into him. It wasn't a wet floor situation, but he went to the locker room. He's alert. I'm not sure if he went to a hospital, but by the account I read, he seems to be in good shape now, as far as, he's not unconscious or near death or anything like that. So speedy recovery to Biyombo, of course, who is still only 31 years old, although it seems like he's only been playing slightly longer than he's been around a long time. NFL news. Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos is now Russell Wilson, formerly of the Denver Broncos, At least he will be officially in just a short matter of time. The team announced they will release him after 2 tumultuous seasons during which he was sacked 100 times. Remember, one of the reasons why he left Seattle is because he was taking too much of a punishment from their less than stellar offensive line. Turns out it wasn't much better in Denver. What's the common denominator there? Wilson was supposed to help turn Denver around, much in the same way that when they acquired Peyton Manning from the Colts, Peyton was able to turn Denver around and get them a Super Bowl victory within 4 years. And Russell Wilson will not get that chance, as Denver did not even come close really to playing winning football while he was there these past 2 seasons. And you may remember the controversy. Wilson, for all detractors out there of Wilson, you can say one thing. There's one thing you can't say. He's always been durable, but Denver wouldn't even let him play for the last couple games of the season. They even sat him out a healthy game earlier in the season to play whoever it was. And then Wilson was, because he wouldn't play ball with the restructuring of his contract, they wanted like some sort of injury guarantee of $37 million, something like that, where they want him to waive that when he really has no reason to do so. They wanted insurance to cover that as opposed to the team. If I have my facts straight, and I always have my facts straight, except when I don't. So, but it caused strife within the front office and the player, and when you have a front office that is capable, because the front office can release the player can't release the front office. I mean, if that were the case, how many times would, say, George Steinbrenner have been released by Don Mattingly or some other Yankee, right? So Wilson is going to be a free agent. There's a number of teams looking for a quarterback. I mean, every year there's at least 5-10 teams need a quarterback upgraded. He can still play. He has not. Is he as dynamic as he once was? No. But is anyone at this age? He's been around for 12 years now. So you'll get a good player. I think for all you detractors of Wilson, and believe me, there's reason to detract Russell Wilson. There's a lot of reason to detract from him because of all the prima donna stuff. Walking everywhere, he's got a celebrity on his arm, his wife, of course, and then his reports came out of him, his private entourage or people who are around him, his trainers, coaches, things like he has his own people pretty much, as opposed to everyone else who has to go through the Denver people. He's never been loved by his old teammates in Seattle. Richard Sherman came out and made that clear. So what Wilson will have to do is find a new team. And he's going to have to check some of that ego at the door if he wants to, because he can still play, but he's got to win over people this time. The ball is not in their court to win him over anymore. It's the other way around. He's got to show whoever needs or wants to sign a quarterback why he is the one who's going to make him better, coming off these 2 lousy seasons in Denver and coming off this problems with the front office. I'm pretty sure you remember the yelling match between him and Sean Payton, which is really more one-sided, Payton yelling at him. And all these things added up. With Russell Wilson. And you have a guy who you have to ask yourself, is he worth the headache that he's going to probably bring? Is he worth the distraction at this point in his career? He's got a Super Bowl ring, almost had 2, but could you imagine how much more of an egomaniac the guy could be if he had gotten that second one? So Russell Wilson, oh, by the way, the dead money hit to the Broncos salary cap the next 2, this is how bad they wanted him out of there. They're taking $84 million dead money salary cap hit. $84 million, that's a record. I think it's a record by far. They'll pay over the next 2 seasons. 36, I want to say it's 35 or 36 mil in 2024, and then the rest of it will be paid off next year. 48 or 49, however many it is. So, anytime you're willing to destroy your salary cap, or at least badly damage it for the next 2 seasons just to move this guy out, in spite of his track record, that means some combination of the front office and Coach Payton, and probably even more people in that locker room, can't stand the guy. I don't know him, but I just going by everything I've read and everything I've heard and seen, I already made my point on that. Also cut today, the one-time star safety Jamal Adams of the Seattle Seahawks was cut today, and his tenure in Seattle was disappointing, to put it mildly. He had one injury after the other. Shoulder injured twice. Was it dislocated? Or no, it was a labrum injury to the shoulder twice, if I'm not mistaken. I have that in the notes. His shoulder was injured twice. He had damaged fingers that were twice injured, had to be fused together at one point. There was another physical problem he had. Don't forget, he also had that incident with the reporter who commented on his Twitter yikes in response to some of the Adams' coverage on the field. And Adams responded by posting a picture of the guy's wife and saying yikes. And then doubled down on it. When given an opportunity to change his words or show some sort of remorse for what he said, because we all say things in the heat of the moment that we probably shouldn't have said, in this case posted, Adams was not contrite at all. In fact, he doubled down and he tried to justify why he would go after someone who had nothing to do with any of this. So Jamal Adams proven to be, don't forget this too, he had 2 dust-ups with the independent people on the sideline who take care of when you go in the blue tent. We have concussion protocol. Those are not team doctors. If you didn't know this, these are not team doctors who handle that. This is handled by the league and has been for a long time now. The league has independent medical people who do the concussion evaluations. There's no trace of bias, no bribery, these guys have nothing invested in what goes on the field. All they want to do is make sure the player is okay in the head. Where if a team doctor is doing it, obviously he's going to face pressure. Hey, Dr. Morris, if it'd be a shame if something happened to your office and our player didn't get back on the field from that supposed big hit, right? You don't want anything to happen to your office, do you? Make sure he's back on that field, Dr. Morris. No, so none of that. This is independent people handling this. And Jamal Adams found a way to get into not 1, but 2 dust-ups with these people. And one of the dust-ups didn't even have anything to do with him. It had to do with his teammate being evaluated for a concussion. So, when you add it all up, Jamal Adams, like Russell Wilson, probably not the most likable guy. Maybe it's that Seattle cuisine or that Seattle weather that does it to you. I don't know. But in any event, Jamal Adams is free. He's now, I believe, coming up on 30. He may be 30, and he needs a team. So if you want a guy who used to be good and just isn't very nice, there you go. Zach Ertz, longtime Eagle, also with the Cardinals, has signed with the Washington Commanders to replace the released Logan Thomas. And this will reunite him with his old Arizona head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, who is the offensive coordinator for the Commanders. So Zach Ertz back to the NFC East. And then we also have, speaking of NFC East, Jason Kelce of the Philadelphia Eagles, Ertz's longtime teammate, of course, announced his retirement after 13 seasons. And it was a lot of tears shed from him and from brother Travis. Jason, if you don't know this guy at all, and why would you? Because most offensive linemen keep the lowest of low profiles. But listen to his podcast, watch his commercials. He's a very easy guy to like. Jason Kelce is. He's very hairy, and he looks very frightening, like he might eat your forehead or stick his finger in your nostrils when you're not expecting it. And other than that first initial impression you may have of him, he's a very funny, very down-to-earth, very grateful, gracious man. And he is now retired after 13 years on the offensive line for the Eagles. And he credited, I didn't write down the name of the guy, but he credited a gentleman after a horrible 2016 season he had, according to him. He credited this gentleman, and above everyone else, I'm sure there are other people involved, for saving his career, getting him to work harder in 2017, change his technique, change his footwork. And what did Kelce do? Came out and had a strong 2017, helped guide the Eagles to their Super Bowl victory that year over the New England Patriots. So, Jason, we'll miss you. Farewell. We know you still keep a visible place in public. You got your podcast on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure you'll get to do more commercials because you put hot sauce on cookies, bro. How many people are gonna forget that? You'll definitely be on TV again in some capacity. See, the combine went down recently. I don't give a crap. What else has been on? We have Mitch Trubisky, the former Bears quarterback, who has since become a backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's returned to the Buffalo Bills to presumably back up Josh Allen. I'm pretty sure they made it clear he's not competing for the starting job with Josh Allen. Sorry, Mitch. You were never that good. You're good enough now to back him up if he needs a game or two or a couple quarters. But, yeah, you're going to be backing up Josh Allen for the second time because you did so 2 years ago. Now, I'm talking like he's watching this show, which I'm pretty sure he's not. It would be nice if he was, but he's not. That was the NFL news that I wanted to share with you. A lot going on. I was going to get into the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff, but I'm saving that for the Season Over Fire Everyone sports show. That's something I want to hear my buddies comment on. So we'll wrap the show up with baseball. And I don't get to talk a lot about baseball on Season Over Fire Everyone. I save that for my solo show. But spring training, hey, March is my favorite month. And why is that? 2 reasons. As I gulp coffee. One, I was born in March. In fact, celebrated birthday in 16 days. Well, actually, I celebrate the birthday in 9 days. I reached the birthday in 16 days. But one reason why March is my favorite month. And the other reason March is my favorite month is because that's when spring training heats up. There's nothing... when I was growing up, I really didn't feel the same way about spring training that I do now. But now I love me some spring training baseball. It's so pure. It's all in the daytime. Everyone's playing hard. Everyone's got a spot. They're trying to win a job for the most part. Young guys, old guys. It's just the way baseball is meant to be. Sunshine, legs everywhere. That in the stands. I'm not talking about the players' legs. I'm talking about in the stands. And those are the 2 reasons why I love March. You're going to be taken a little off guard with what I start off this discussion with. Skillz on pills. Now, I take blood pressure medication for a variety of reasons. But one of those reasons is because stuff going on in the sports world gets me worked up, gets me upset, and my blood pressure gets high. And so I got to take these pills to keep it manageable. And what's got my blood pressure high right now is the departure of longtime Giants shortstop Brandon Crawford to the St. Louis Cardinals. And I'm not upset that he's gone, because there was time probably for the team and the player to split. 13 seasons, he'd done it all for them. He'd won 2 World Series with them, but last season he couldn't even hit 200 anymore. It was pretty obvious that something had to give. I'm upset because of the way he was let go of. I'm upset because of the way the departure was handled. I'm upset because the goofball in charge, who from now on I'll just label as the Prez, because I don't even want to speak that germ's name anymore. The Prez has no connection to this history that the Giants made in the 2010s when Crawford was dominating on that field on both sides of the ball. Well, maybe not dominating, but certainly starring, certainly shining. This is a forever Giant we're talking about. This is one of the great San Francisco Giants. Guy grew up in the Bay Area. Guy was at, when the Giants were going to move to freaking Florida, little Brandon Crawford was there at Candlestick Park with a sign begging him not to. And what does he do? Crawford goes on, grows up to get drafted by the Giants and star for them at shortstop for 13 years, making some of the greatest plays you'll ever see at that position. What does the press think of all that? Not a goddamn thing, apparently, because this came out. This is from Crawford himself, the day after he signed with St. Louis, which was just last week. Crawford, according to him, when he went to the press, wondering about what his status was with the team, wanting to stay with the team in some capacity, the press told him, and let me get into my best press character here, you can win a job, maybe you can win like a 25th man spot like everyone else on a minor league contract. I'm paraphrasing. That's what the germ press told Crawford. After all this time, championships, gave everything to this team, and that little germ, I almost said something else, kicks him out the door, lets him, like he's freaking Desi Wilson, like he's a total nobody, like he's a scrub. You don't treat your legends like scrubs. If Willie Mays had played for the Giants, and was still playing for the Giants, but Germ took over, he would have let Willie Mays go the same way. He would have treated him just like a scrub. This is not someone who you should be respecting. This is not someone who I have any confidence in running this team. This is a total weasel, someone who should never be trusted, someone who doesn't know jack about baseball, and someone who, for all I'm concerned, can rot in hell. Love you, Brandon Crawford. Will always love you no matter what uniform you wear. Skillz on pills. But I digress. We'll close the show with some other baseball news. On the injury front, you may or may not have heard that Clayton Kershaw is going to open the year on the 60-day disabled or injured list. He's still not recovered from the surgery he had on his left shoulder. This could be the end of Clayton, because he wasn't going to come back. He didn't sign back with the Dodgers for the longest time anyway. And if this is the end for Clayton, he did get to 200 wins. His Hall of Fame status has been sealed for a long time now. His legacy is cemented. It's only a matter of does he want to just keep playing. He's got his World Series title. So, although I loathe the Dodgers, I've always respected Kershaw, even as he carved my Giants up into little tiny cheese cubes and then melted those cheese cubes and fed them to a freaking rat. He made us look really bad in his prime, guys. He really, really did. But I would never wish injury on anyone, even a Dodger, and I wish Kershaw nothing but the best. Also opening the year on the injured list will be Red Sox pitcher Lucas Giolito, and it looks like he may miss the whole season. He's got a partially torn UCL in his pitching elbow. He's got a torn flexor tendon in his pitching elbow, and that usually means Tommy John surgery. And what does Tommy John surgery equal? A year off. Season hasn't even started. Giolito facing an uphill battle there. Also starting the year on IL will be pitcher Justin Verlander of Houston as he tries to get to 300 wins. He's still about 45, 46 short at age 41. And then also Sonny Gray, one of the newest St. Louis Cardinals outside of Crawford. His stats for opening day is in doubt also as he battles injury. So we'll keep an eye on all that as the season goes on. Joey Votto, the former longtime superstar of the Cincinnati Reds, still unsigned free agent, who's told he's not coming back to Cincinnati. And he's been posting things on TikTok and I'm assuming other social media, looking disheveled partially and unshaven, almost homeless, sitting around on benches, like, please give me a job. And I hope he's not intending to look homeless, because if so, that's really a slap in the face to the true homeless people when you talk about someone like Votto who's made $200 million in his career. So I hope he's not really trying to do that. But if he is trying to do that, then he should stop, because it's not funny in any way. All right. So, but I do hope he does get a job. I've always liked Joey Votto, and his he goes from one end of the spectrum with humor, and then next minute he's ready to chew an umpire's nose off. So Joey Votto still looking for a job as birthday number 40 approaches. My Giants signed Matt Chapman, which probably means the end of any hope of Pablo Sandoval, who signed as a minor league contract free agent last week or week before last. Probably ends any hope of him making the team. We'll see how that turns out. Mike Zunino, today, longtime Rays and Mariners catcher, announced his retirement. Now, Mike Zunino, this guy lasted 11 years in the major leagues. In 10 of those seasons, the highest he hit was 216. He had 251 in I wrote it down. In 2017, he hit 251. In every other year he played, he never hit higher than 216, and his career batting average will be 199. Although he stayed around because he could catch, and he could blast home runs. He hit 33 home runs one season. And now, Mike Zunino, who was once the second overall pick in the draft, was called it a career, and we wish him the best of luck. The best for his life going forward. Ronald Acuna from the Braves, reigning National League MVP. Now, before Acuna actually tore his ACL in 2021, he would frequently appear to have suffered a serious injury that turned out to be nothing but like a day or two, if that, injury. He'd be down on the ground writhing in pain, grabbing a leg or grabbing a knee. He looked like, for all the world, he was going to be out for a long time, only to be back in line by the next day or the day after. And his luck finally did run out when he tore his ACL in 21. But he's been, obviously he won MVP last year, so he's obviously recovered from that. But this time, we had another injury scare with Acuna, as he got caught in a rundown against the Twins in an exhibition game last week, and looked like he suffered an injury to that same knee that was injured with the torn ACL. Reports are now that Acuna is good to go, and that is going to be all right. So, hey, back to his old ways, scaring all his Braves fans, making us think he's going to be out forever, and really it's just going to be like 24, 48 hours. Good for Acuna. And the last bit of news I will share with you, minor league deals to C.J. Cron, Boston, Eddie Rosario, Washington, Elvis Andrus, Arizona, Brad Miller, Padres. As these veteran players try to extend their careers, all of them are in their 30s now, and all of them have been productive within the last couple of years. So they have shots of making a team, making whatever teams they're going for. Elvis Andrus is he might be the active hits leader now. I know he's got over 2,000. Actually, well, I don't know if he has more than Freddie Freeman. One of those two guys is at the top of that list. I'll have the notes for you. But there you go. 4 veterans found teams after this long winter. And that gets to the discussion of, do we need like a deadline to get jobs for guys in MLB? Because it's March 6th. And these guys did not get jobs until like the last, 2-3 days. So, and Chapman for the Giants, he's not a guy who was going to sign a minor league deal. This is a star player, or at least it's a guy getting paid like a star player, because he's declined a little bit, but this is a guy who did not get a job until early March. Early March. You got to get these guys signed before I would say no later than January is what I would say, but I'm not ready to start imposing a rule for yet either, because there's a lot that goes into it, and we'll see. Me and Rob Manfred never see eye to eye on much of anything. We see eye to eye on 2 things. We both use the restroom standing up, and we both like baseball. At least, we both watch baseball. I don't think Manfred likes it very much, judging by some of the decisions he's made, but that's another story for another show. And last bit of news for the night, if you can call it news, the Oakland A's, trying to be moved from Oakland to Las Vegas by another turd who's only slightly less thick of a turd than the one running the Giants right now. Actually, there's 2 turds, Turd and Turder. And whatever organization they use to create renderings, these renderings of the new stadium that they're planning for Vegas, which were supposed to be out, in January from what I read, just came out yesterday. And these renderings, they're of a very beautiful stadium that, according to everyone on Twitter, connected to the game and not connected to the game, everyone who has any sort of knowledge, voice on the matter, agrees on pretty much one thing. This will not fit on 9 acres of land. The 9 acres of land that is supposedly reserved to build this A's ballpark. This ballpark looks like it's closer to 15 acres, to be honest with you. It's beautiful. I would personally love to. It's 33,000 seats apparently, and if it looks like the drawing, it's beautiful. I mean, you look it up online. I may post a picture here in the video when I do the editing. But for those of you who love the Oakland A's still and have not completely turned your back on the team, there's a chance. I would say, just based on everything I've read and all the people I've contacted about it, there's a good chance that this move isn't happening. And if it does happen, it's not going to happen the way we've been told it will. The Oakland A's may not be going anywhere, and Fisher, the lies, the things he said have been mostly untrue. The things Cal was telling us are mostly untrue. They're blocking everybody on Twitter who challenges them, legitimately challenges them, and asks them to prove the things that they're spreading, right? They're probably throwing profanities here and there, but in any event, anyone who goes against them is getting blocked. They're scared. The S is starting to hit the fan. It's put up or shut up time, and they're shutting up. This ballpark may not happen. And if the ballpark doesn't happen, I don't think the move will happen. And I'm personally, selfishly, I say selfishly, but there's thousands upon thousands of people, maybe even a million people here in the Bay Area that don't want that move to happen either. So keep your eye on this, people. If you're an A's fan, the end is not... They have to find a place to play for 25, 26, and 27. They don't have a place to play yet after this lease at the Coliseum expires. Oakland may force them to do something they don't want to do. Oakland may force them to give up on this wackiness. Unless they want to go 3 years without making money. Because there's very few people who are on Fisher's side, Turd, and Callow, Turder. Those two have made a lot of enemies in this. A lot of enemies. They've won few friends, which is kind of like what you do when you make enemies. There's frenemies, I guess, but that doesn't really fall into this umbrella here. They've pissed off a lot of people. There's a lot of people who want to see them fall flat on their ass. And money does talk. And Turd does have a lot of money. And Turder will do, whatever Turd wants Turder to do. But they may be the only two people that want this move to happen by the time it's all said and done. They may be the only two people who believe this move will happen by the time it's said and done. Keep your eye on this, people. Skillz on Sports. I'm your boy Skillz. I'll always be your boy Skillz. I'm not moving to Vegas. I've been there. I like it. It's too damn hot. I'm not going to Vegas. And I am not signing a free agent deal with anyone outside the Bay Area. You're stuck with me, and you're stuck with this show. I love y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Season Notify Everyone show possibly this weekend. Until then, Skillz on Sports. Bye.